Welcome back to Morning Joe. A few minutes ago, we played for you the mayor of Phoenix warning that her city needs more medical personnel and more testing to combat the surge in coronavirus cases there. Let's bring in MSNBC correspondent Vaughn Hillyard live from Phoenix. Vaughn, we've heard from the mayor. What does it look like on the ground there?
I think that it looks a lot more like what the mayor here in Phoenix has outlined, as opposed to what the likes of Vice President Pence just yesterday outlined. It's been quite stunning. It was just 1 week ago when the vice president flew in Air Force Two here and lavished praise on the state's response. But when you're looking at the numbers, Arizona is arguably in worse shape than anywhere in the United States and is competitive with anywhere across the entire world. And that's why then listening to that coronavirus task force briefing just yesterday afternoon, in which Vice President Pence made a couple more assertions, it was kind of head-turning for folks that are on the ground here in Arizona. Take a listen to the first claim made by the vice president yesterday.
We're actually seeing early indications of a percent of positive testing flattening in Arizona and Florida and Texas.
Now, the data here in Arizona runs completely counter to that suggestion. That number, that percent positive number, was at about 5% in early and mid-May. Well, over the course of 2 months, it's risen by more than 20 percentage points. And we should note, in just the last 48 hours, the percent positive rate here is 31%. It is only rising. Now, let's take a listen to the second claim made by the vice president yesterday.
In Arizona and Florida, we are beginning to see declining numbers of emergency room visits as well.
Well, that's just flat out wrong, because yesterday in Arizona, there were 2,008 new ER visits for COVID suspected patients, which is the record in Arizona. So the vice president suggested the number was going down, but just yesterday, it was the record. This is a government, not only at the national level, but here in the state, that has continually tried to justify the reopening and the staying open of businesses here. Restaurants are still open, malls are still open, casinos are still open here, and yet you continue to see these numbers rise. There are more than 150 deaths reported in just the last 48 hours as well. This is a state that is far from going on a downward trajectory, and the numbers right now are only indicating a continued rise.
So, Vaughn, you may be standing in the hot spot in America right now. As you said, many businesses are still open. Is there will from the governor? Is there political will to do something and to close those businesses until the state of Arizona has its arms around coronavirus?
It was a week and a half ago that I asked Governor Ducey, why not re-implement a stay-at-home order? Why not shut down indoor dining service? Because the numbers were only expected to continue to rise. Fast forward 2 weeks later, there's still a record number of ICU beds in use and record number of hospitalizations. There is an all call out. I was up over in Prescott, Arizona, north here of Phoenix, just this weekend at a 4th of July celebration. Maybe 1 out of 7, maybe 1 out of 8 folks were actually wearing a mask among thousands who were gathered. The governor has urged people to wear a mask, but in parts of this state, they just aren't. And what you're seeing is, I was talking with an old surgeon who had retired 2 years ago from the one hospital up in Prescott, Yavapai Regional Medical Center. He said he was frustrated because it takes more than urging. It takes a demonstration, leadership. This state has been open for more than 2 months, and to have these calls now, folks, frankly, here across Arizona just aren't adhering to it at the level in which they need to. And he has already put his name forward to go back into the hospital because there is a shortage of nurses, of doctors. This system has been overwhelmed here over the course of the last 2 months, and it's left this state in a very challenging position. And one other note, Willie, understanding the scope of the spread here is still far from being controlled because of the lack of testing. It still takes more than a week in most cases to get testing results back. So even if somebody's positive, they're largely still out and about. And Maricopa County health public officials just yesterday were making the case that contact tracing is almost irrelevant when you have such widespread community spread. You just can't keep up with the pace in which the COVID is spreading here across this greater valley and across this greater state.
Yeah, and for all those reasons, astounding, as you pointed out, that the vice president claims there's a flattening of the curve in Arizona. That absolutely is not the case. Vaughn Hillyard in Phoenix for us. Vaughn, thanks so much. Good to see you.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.